Okay, welcome to Weekday Somatics. Okay, let's begin today by levitating. You laugh. Hmm. If you don't want to start by levitating, then we'll start by first silence, then levitation. Let's take a few moments just to be together in silence. There's no necessary condition for this, so you can be as you wish. You can lie down, you can lean back, you can sit upright, you can stand on your head. And notice what conditions you habitually latch onto. The condition that I must be comfortable enough, or I must understand it first, or I must be certain that this is silence, or what does he really mean, and on and on. Or I'm not worthy, I have too many problems, I'm not a good enough person, I made a mistake, today's not a good day, I'm not prepared. Just see all the conditions and just be willing, just for a moment. We'll just sit here or lie here or whatever for just a minute or so in silence and just trust that this silence is real, regardless of what your mind might suggest, regardless of what experience seems to happen, regardless of what it seems to mean. Just trust that the silence is real and trust that you are doing it correctly. And just be willing to surrender to this experience presently, just for a minute. Don't latch on to anything, just for a minute. Now, if you laughed when I suggested that we might levitate, and to be fair, I was half joking, so that's fine that you laughed. But there's an invitation to something true there. So take a look at that. Okay, seems what would be in your mind? What would be the greater miracle? Levitation or true peace and joy in your life always? See, levitation doesn't seem so big anymore. See how it is that you create these false distinctions. One thing is harder than another. All things are possible. All things are possible, but all things are secondary. What's primary is this stillness. Now, that doesn't mean that the rest of it is wrong. It doesn't mean the rest of it is bad. It just means that if we place our faith in something that is external, separate, out of reach, conditional, then we know what that experience is, because that's our habitual experience, an experience of grasping, always destabilizing ourselves, always overreaching. So let me, before we get started, let me share with you my intention for our time together. My intention for our time together and for this inquiry is that each of us might have a clearer recognition of the equal possibility of all miracles in our lives, and that we might open ourselves to receive those miracles. And that we can discover a growing faith in the reality of those miracles because we see those miracles manifest in our lives, and we are able to recognize that our true nature is already miraculous. Our true nature is already miraculous. Look and see that that's true. We take it for granted, but it's actually true that our true nature is miraculous. This whole existence is a miracle. And so my intention for us is that we can discover that through observing our habits of limitation, our habits of restriction, our habits of indulging fear, impatience, irritation, anger, frustration, disappointment, discouragement, depression, anxiety, argumentativeness, doubt. So today we're going to explore levitation. Come to a posture that you have confidence you can inhabit without strain for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe seated, maybe lying down. As usual, find a balance for yourself, whatever that is in this moment, where there's enough challenge that it supports you in remaining present so that you don't collapse and just fall asleep. Falling asleep is okay, by the way. So don't think that you must remain awake or that if you fall asleep, that's bad. If you fall asleep, that's okay. But at the same time, set yourself up for the possibility of remaining awake. Even more than that, set yourself up for the possibility of waking up. Because you can start to maybe recognize how it is that your habitual mode of functioning is a kind of sleep. So the important thing is that here you can receive the support. You are aware of support. Because otherwise you're going to be straining. You're going to be exerting a lot of self-effort to try and keep yourself up, trying to protect yourself against failure or injury. So only you can know what is the appropriate posture in this moment. And it may not be the same as it was yesterday or the day before. So don't do it just because it's the same as yesterday. Really notice what your needs are today, what's appropriate for you today. Now, if it's if it's appropriate for you, I highly encourage you to close the eyes today. Please don't close the eyes just because I suggest it, though. If it's not appropriate, and it may not be appropriate for some people, then don't. The reason I suggest it, if it's appropriate, is because it's going to help to soothe or calm the habit of outward flow of energy. And for our exploration of levitation, we don't want to burden ourselves with any unnecessary outward flow. We want to allow the energy to be as calm and subtle as possible. So notice where your body is in contact with the surface that you are resting upon. So it could be the floor or the chair or the bed or whatever. Notice those parts of your body that are in contact. And see that you can surrender in these parts of the body. Let them just surrender to the support that's here so that you don't need to make any unnecessary effort. It's always fascinating to me how much unnecessary strain I make out of habit, resisting the support that's here. It's just fascinating. Now, of course, you may not presently know how to surrender to your satisfaction, and that's okay. Notice I didn't say you must surrender all the way completely, perfectly, and if you don't, you're a failure and you're not going to be able to levitate, because that wouldn't be true. But just surrender to the best of your ability. How do you do that? Well, you become aware of how you do it. This awareness of how you do it is not something that you're going to arrive at by thinking. Thinking's not going to help you here. In fact, all of the thinking is actually what contributes to the unnecessary effort, because the thinking is trying to reconcile the actual experience with the ideas of how it's supposed to be. This is happening unconsciously for the most part, so you're not aware of it consciously, but that's what's happening. You can start to become aware of that consciously if you are really interested and you observe it carefully. But the main thing is you don't need to work hard at it. You can simply surrender. Now here's an image that may be supportive. I want you to imagine, well, first of all, get a sense of the bones, the skeleton of your body. And I want you to imagine this skeleton is perfect, because it is. Even if you don't think it is, just notice that those are ideas. That's an image. So I want you to just let that go. And I want you to just trust and really receive the perfection of your skeleton. Your thoughts don't have to align with this. You don't have to affirm over and over, my skeleton is perfect, my skeleton is perfect. Just notice whatever resistance you have, to receiving that perfection, to acknowledging that perfection, any resistance that you have, any tendency to argue, notice that arguing is always arguing in favor of the limitation. It's always arguing in favor of the restriction. It's always arguing in favor of your deficiency, the wrongness and badness of life. So why bother doing that? Just don't. See that it's possible just to not do that. Even though that habit might be there, you can observe it. You can observe it at subtler and subtler levels. You can actually start to perceive the subtle gripping. So if you start to observe it at a subtler level, the gripping doesn't get to the point of the physical armoring. You'll start to notice that the physical armoring softens if you observe at subtler levels. So again, I want you to imagine, I want you to start to actually perceive the perfection of your skeleton. Your skeleton is absolutely perfect. All the bones are perfect. All the joints are perfect. And the skeleton energetically is directly aligned with the support of this natural world, the environment that we're in. So that perfectly aligned with gravity. Again, notice if you have a habit of going to argumentativeness, become judgmental, critical, you say, I'm not sure that's true. But tell the deeper truth. You're not sure that anything is true. You're not sure of anything. What's the harm in allowing this image of perfection? Why would that be harmful? You are bombarded with images all day long, and you don't care about most of those. Why do you want to argue with this one? This is a nice one. So again, I'll suggest, imagine, perceive, and receive the perfection of your absolutely pristinely perfect, beautiful skeleton, perfectly aligned with gravity, perfectly aligned with all the forces of the natural world, perfectly receiving that support. Can you observe the tendency to argue, and can you see it at a subtler level now? And can you recognize that you don't even need to indulge it? You don't need to wrestle with it. You don't need to shame yourself for having that habit. You don't need to do any of that. You can actually just receive the pristine perfection of your own skeleton and allow that skeleton to receive the support of the natural world that's here. And whatever strain you might become aware of, to the best of your ability, surrender, soften. Really see how that strain or discomfort is, it's a gross level manifestation of that argumentativeness. So trust that what I'm saying is real. Your skeleton is perfect. Your skeleton is naturally, effortlessly aligned with all of the forces of the natural world. And you are safe. Did that provoke a little bit of argumentativeness? I hope it did. You are safe. So just notice if there's any tendency to argue with that. You are safe. See how it is that out of habit, you're so in the habit, we all are, we're so in the habit of looking for danger. We're certain that the danger is real. We're certain that the danger is there. We don't trust in the reality of safety. So again, I'll say it. You are safe. Not only are you safe, you are absolutely safe. You are profoundly safe. You are safe in every way. There is no possibility of any harm coming to you. Just notice what that provokes. And notice that to argue with that requires effort. It requires that you abandon this stillness, abandon the support, abandon your perfection, so that you can energize this habit of arguing, limitation, fear, worry, irritation, impatience. So I want you to start to see what it is, because all of this is pointing to it. It's all pointing so clearly. So just observe. It's a simple thing. All of this is pointing you to recognize what it is that is the real obstacle. Where is the obstacle? Is it out there? Is it all of the conditions of the world that we thought it was? Hopefully it's getting clear in your direct experience. There's a recognition now. Oh, the only obstacle was my habit of arguing for my limitation, arguing for my restriction, arguing for my pain, arguing for why life is so hard, arguing for why life is so unsafe, arguing for why I have to struggle, arguing for why I have to try harder, arguing for why there's not enough. How much effort does that require? Take a look. Again, notice the stillness that's right at the heart of who you are. And again, observe your perfect skeleton. It's perfect. What could possibly be wrong with it? I want you to really notice its perfection, truly. I want you to become aware of the bones, all of the bones. You can't think about that. I mean, if you think about it, you'll fail. So don't bother thinking about it. Just feel into it. Feel that perfect alignment, perfect structure. Notice how the bones are absolutely effortless. The bones aren't making any effort. That's what I want you to really recognize, is that the bones are not making any effort. You are straining, but it's so unnecessary. The bones are perfect. The bones are safe. You are safe. Now, notice that how about this? Just don't argue. Just don't bother. Just rest in your perfection. Rest in your safety. Now, here's the image that I suggested I hinted that I was going to tell you earlier. And now here it is. All around you, including the the this subtle, fine layer all around the skin. I want you to imagine this radiance, a light, an energy that supports you. Now, you can argue, but don't bother. That's my suggestion. Whatever arguments come up, I can't, that's too silly, I don't know how to do that, I can't feel it, I'm not doing it right, what's he talking about? All the arguments, don't bother, okay? There's this beautiful light surrounding your body, and it surrounds your skin, fits around your skin like it's been custom tailored. It's a very, very, very fine fit. And it's so soft and at the same time so strong that you can release into it. So maybe you can start to notice just how much tension you've held in the skin, just how much tension you've held just under the skin, all of this tension, trying to hold it all together, trying to protect yourself. This beautiful light, this energy is 100% reliable. You can trust it. And you can surrender to it. You can release into it. Release the toes and the feet and the lower legs and the upper legs, buttocks, the groin, the abdomen, the lower back, the upper back, the chest, the shoulders, the upper arms, the lower arms, the hands, the fingers, the throat, the back of the neck, the back of the head, the top of the head, the forehead, the eyeballs, the cheeks, the jaw, all of the body. You can just release it, surrender it to this light, this energy that holds you, supports you, comforts you. So that you don't have to do the work of holding yourself together. You are held. You can surrender to this. Now, you laughed when I said we were going to levitate, but take a look. If you don't argue, if you don't waste any effort with arguing for the limitation and arguing for why you're certain that you're not levitating and you're certain that it's impossible and all of those sorts of things, take a look in your direct experience. Aren't you levitating? It's a real experience. It's an authentic experience. It's much more true than the habit of belief that we have about ourselves. This is the direct perception of a profound truth, which is that grace fills me, grace surrounds me, grace is my life. I am carried by grace. And wherever you have doubts, just observe where that doubt seems to be. And what you will find is that you're still making effort. You're still trying to hold yourself together. You're still gripping. You're still not fully surrendering. That's not bad. You're not doing it wrong. It's not shame on you. It's it's a what a blessing to discover that gift that 99% of people will not discover in this lifetime. You're being given this gift and you're consciously receiving it. That is something to celebrate. So don't dismay if you think, oh, I'm not doing it right. I'm not having a good enough experience. Whatever your experience is, I promise you, it's perfect. You're just being shown that it can be easier, that all miracles are equal in magnitude. One is not greater than the other. One is not harder than the other. It's only our judgments that say otherwise. Your heart is beating. Nerve impulses are flowing. Cellular respiration is happening. And you're levitating. All possibilities are within you. There are no true obstacles. Your life and you are already a demonstration of the miraculous. And there is no limitation. to the miracles that can express. As we now begin to slowly transition from the formal inquiry, be very gentle so that you don't disturb anything. And I want to suggest to you that it's possible, and so you can explore this possibility, that you can make this transition so that you can remain surrendered to grace, to this which fills you and surrounds you, and which is the source of all miracles. And you can allow it to continue to bless your life, all your activities, all your relationships. And as you go through your day, and in fact, for the rest of your life, you can allow this to remind you whenever you begin to indulge any habit of argumentativeness, restriction, limitation. That in and of itself can be an expression of this grace, because it can be this gentle reminder. It's okay to let go. It's okay to receive the support. It's okay to surrender. The miracles are real. If your eyes have been closed, then see that you can open them slowly without disturbing this awareness of the miraculous as reality. For those who are here live, we'll stay on for the Q&A. There's no rush. I see some of you levitating. That's very nice. For those who are watching the recording, take your time. Thanks for joining.